Hey guys, how's it going? I'm going to be doing a few more council homework videos today. Should be getting them all pretty much back to back to back. I'm going to keep them unlisted, but there will be a playlist for all of them. I know some people last time didn't like the videos too much, or at least one or two of them. I'm going to try to keep it in a different form and format for some of them, and I'm going to keep them unlisted so people don't have to see them and won't really pick them up on the channel. You have to go digging for them, so they'll be at least a little bit more hidden. But yeah, for this wave of homework we had 5 different tracks. One of them is my own, so I won't be covering that one in any of these, but we had 3DS Rainbow Road by ZPL, Aqua Dungeon by ZPL, Cave Race, and Rocky River Run, both by Oaken too. So we had quite a few different ones to cover. I'm going to do them pretty quickly. There's one that I'm going to do an extra, more edited video on because I have a lot to say for that one, and I want to make sure I do it very precisely. But in general, today we're going to cover Aqua Dungeon first. For this track, honestly, I really like it. I think this track is great. There's some elements that I really want to get into that will kind of explain my voting and the rationale behind it. And as it turns out, I am allowed to share my own voting and what I feel about it, so I probably will do that too. But yeah, for this track, visually, great. There's a few elements that I think could exist on this track, or a few more little elements of theme to pull it together slightly more. But I think otherwise it looks phenomenal. Just look at those crystals in the light map, or the lighting effect off of them. It looks great. I think the whole atmosphere is really good and sets very well. Some minor things to mention too, if you watch some of the walls or look at some of the UVing on the walls, like the bricks, they kind of fade down like this or something. It looks kind of weird. I would change that. It would help a lot. You can notice them especially along the spiral, but that's a minor thing. One thing I could suggest too is maybe closing off the edges of this or something. Maybe put an outside layer or something to make it look like it's closed off properly along the outside. Otherwise, this track this track visually is really, really, really good. I like the retexturing of stuff too to make it fit the atmosphere more too, because things are darker. Those propellers, the E propellers, are blue now. The boost panel texture looks great. So yeah, visually this track is pretty stunning in my opinion. I think it deserves mention for sure. Other things, this track plays really good. Plays really, really good, and I think it's partially just because it's been a track that ZPL has worked on for so long. I think he's worked on it for a few years now, so you can really see the merits of it. There's a lot of aspects that are really, really nice and just play very intuitive on the first go through. There's this shortcut here. This one is very tough. It is not at all free. It's got this pretty particular jump trick timing. Let me see if I can get it. I'll try my best. Please don't make fun of me, guys, if I fuck it up. Yeah, you can see what I'm trying to do. It's a pretty tight timing, and you want to start lower and end going up top more. But if you cut off that turn, it saves it saves a second and a half to 2 seconds, I think, in my testing at least. It also is kind of a tough landing, so it's a very tough shortcut. I think it's really good though. I love those Coconut Mall-esque fountain tricks that feel really nice too, for the record. Yeah, in general, for me, this gameplay is good enough. I think it does it. I really think it does it. I'm trying to think of objective things. People were mentioning a few other things. These zappers, I called them e-propellers earlier, but these things were controversial. I'm going to tell you that right now. Some people did not like them. Some people thought they didn't add anything to the track or thought that they were worse. I like them, and I think it adds a good bit of challenge, and they're in good positions to be more annoying in a good way. This one in particular too. I like that as an aspect of the track. I also love those curved edges, or placed edges on the boost panel trick, so you can get lower air. It feels really intuitive and nice. And it's done in a way to where it's not curvy or inconsistent, so that helps a lot too. I would maybe position the thwomps in a slightly better spot than where they are right now too, if you could. Because objectively, you'd have to be going really inside to get hit by these. It might be better to just put them along the corners or something. It's just an idea and a suggestion, but I think it could help. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. I think there's a few elements that could be fixed. Those are the major things that I mentioned. Fix up a few visual details, maybe add a few more things in terms of visuals like I mentioned. Like for suggestions, I guess I'd say more like lively feeling things. You have like thwomps and you've got a few e-propellers, but I feel like there's places that feel a little empty. Maybe you could add some more of those chains. I like those chains a lot. I could maybe suggest like adding like cave or like points in the walls where there's like areas inside to make it look more like a dungeon, like a crypt. I could see even more of the crystals along the track too to help liven things up. Other suggestions, maybe opening up some areas a little bit more. That's pretty minor. Like in this section, maybe you could add some even more distant things. Like you have like a good start for the water. Like these cheeps help a lot in that section. But I feel like there's some sections here that could use like maybe more coral that's like modeled, or like islands or something, like sharp islands or something to add to the feel. But yeah, otherwise fix up some UVs if you can. I mean, there's smaller stuff here and there, and just add a tiny little bit more of those elements visually. Keep the gameplay about the same. One other tiny little mention, very tiny, but I think it's important. People are going to mention it in the review very likely, so it doesn't really matter too much. But there's like a shroomless cut at the very end of the track that people think are going to it's definitely going to affect running for the track for comp. Probably a little more than it needs to. And it might make it so that running in comp rooms is just like broken. Like you just end up running the track and there's no way to catch up. I think most people that expressed that said with the shroomless adjusted, they would be 100% down with the track too. It's just like you can cut this turn off of this basically and just like not have to worry about anything. I think you miss an item set, but I don't think it's enough to justify it. Like you still just save like a buttload of time. Like you just do that, right? You do it better than I did, and you just cut off the turn. It saves a good amount of time too. For me, I don't mind it. I think it's cool, but I do think there are other people that do mind it, so it'll be a worthwhile adjustment. But otherwise, phenomenal. I think it's another ZPL banger in my opinion, and I could see this track being very successful in the pack. I really could. Probably one of the more successful crystal themed tracks in the pack too. So I really like it. I think ZPL did a great job, and I'm going to be voting fixes on this. Fixes with some of those things I mentioned. I think it's great. Good job.